12 moments from 1971 that still hit the heart and the hips. You'll hear time clocks, tape hiss, church pews, and streetlights in the rain. Bill Withers improvised 26 I Knows on the spot and carried a factory badge into a Grammy night. Stay through the finish, because our number 3 carries the studio standoff that rewired Motown's future, and our number 1 turns a workday life into a classic you can feel in the first bar. Number 12, Tired of Being Alone, Al Green, 1971. Staccato horns blink like neon, and a clipped guitar sketches the corners of the room while the rhythm section keeps the pocket narrow so the voice can breathe. Al Green doesn't push, he leans. Vowels opening like windows, and consonants clicking shut on the beat. The tension comes from the space he leaves and the falsetto he saves for when the air widens.
Even though you don't want me no more, yeah.
Listen for the little catch right before the first chorus. Half sigh, half plea. Then the horns answer like an understanding nod. Written earlier, believed in by Willie Mitchell. It finally landed and became a national hit, top 10 pop and number 1 R&B, and later a Rolling Stones 500 nod.
Baby, if you love me.
More than a chart line, it's the blueprint for the 70s run where intimacy ruled.
I've been trying next to you.
Number 11, Spanish Harlem, Aretha Franklin, 1971. Strings move like streetlight reflections. Congas whisper under the floor. And the piano holds court while the backing voices, Carolyn Franklin among them, rise like a familiar hand on your shoulder. Aretha shapes the melody with a calm authority that turns a known tune into her address. She doesn't decorate, she defines. Listen for the glide she puts on Rose in the second verse, a tiny bend that warms the whole arrangement. First made famous by Ben E. King in 1960, this 1971 take climbed back to the front, topping the R&B chart and reaching number 2 on the pop chart. It's the sound of interpretation as ownership.
It is the special one.
Proof of how gospel phrasing and Latin pulse can share the same glass. From a soaring city ballad, we walk down to a piano and string confession where the voice is steel and smoke at once.
You know what breaks my heart a little? Only 1% of the people who watch R&B vinyl are actually subscribed. 99 out of 100 of you keep coming back, vibing with the grooves, feeling the stories, reliving the voices that built soul itself, but you still haven't hit that button. Think about it. You've spent time here, maybe even rediscovered a song that hit you right in the chest, and yet you're walking away before the next track drops. Subscribing costs nothing, not a cent, but it means you'll never miss the moments that remind you who you were when that record first played. R&B vinyl isn't just music. It's memory, it's heritage. It's the pulse that still beats under everything we love. Don't just listen from the sidelines. Be part of the 1% who keep the soul alive. Hit subscribe, stay, groove, and keep the record spinning with us.
Number 10, If I Were Your Woman, Gladys Knight and the Pips, 1971.
If I were your woman, you were my woman, and you
A gospel-rooted piano keeps steady time while strings swell like a storm held at the edge of town.
But she treats you like glass, yet you beg her.
The drums exhale, never rushing the truth, and the Pips answer with harmonies that steady the frame.
If I were your woman,
Gladys rides the middle, vulnerable, then defiant, then both in the same breath.
loving you.
She phrases like someone choosing each word with care and then refusing to take any of them back.
And I'd call you back for more
if I were your woman.
Listen for the breath before the title line in the second chorus.
you're like a diamond.
Silence turning into resolve. The song hit #1 on the R&B chart and earned a Grammy nomination, a reminder that conviction travels. Covers came later, but the center of gravity is here. We leave a powerhouse testimony and step into a darker corridor where smiles hide something sharper.
My love would overrule my sense.
Number 9, Smiling Faces. Sometimes, the undisputed truth, 1971.
And I got proof. Oh, Lord, yeah.
A bass line that walks but never wanders.
Remember, a smile is just a front.
Strings that shiver at the edges and percussion that stares straight ahead.
And I got proof.
Beware.
Norman Whitfield builds a room where every surface reflects suspicion.
Can't see behind smiling faces.
The vocals hover like a warning sign.
Smiling faces tell lies. And I got
The harmonies tight enough to feel the air thinning.
faces sometimes. They don't tell the truth.
Psychedelic soul without the bright colors. This is paranoia you can tap your foot to.
Faces, smiling faces tell lies.
Listen for the string scrape right before the hook. A small sound that widens the shadow.
So hear me when I'm saying smiling face.
It rose to number 3 on the Hot 100 and proved that the heavy feelings of the era could also move on radio. The lesson lingers.
Smiling faces,
Deception often smiles first.
smiling faces, smiling faces.
From this slow, ominous march, the next step is a surprise cover where guitar pedals and open-throated harmonies trade the gloom for lift.
Turned upside down, my friend.
Number 8, Love the One You're With. Easley Brothers, 1971.
And if you can't be with the one you love,
Wah-wah guitar flickers at the corners, a fat backbeat settles into the pocket, and the harmony stack answers like a Sunday balcony.
and if you can't be with the one you love,
The Isleys take Stephen Stills' folk rock and shift the center of gravity.
come on, love the one you're with.
Same bones, new swagger. Ron's lead has a grin in it, and the band plays like a unit, testing how wide the room can get without losing the floor.
Big love, and the eagle flies with
Listen for the call and response on the last refrain.
concentration. It slips away.
The voices fanning out as the guitar talks back.
Love the one you're with. Love the one you're with.
Not their biggest seller, but a door opener.
There's a girl sitting right next to you.
the moment where soul reaches into rock's toolbox and finds new colors.
Love the one you're with. Love the one you're with.
Here's the experiment that foreshadows a decade of funk fire.
And love the one you're with. You gotta love the one you're with.
From a genre blend with forward motion, we glide into Silk, where a falsetto sits still and pulls the listener closer.
Love, honey, love the one you're with. You gotta love the one you're
Number 7, You Are Everything, The Stylistics, 1971. Vibraphone notes fall like soft rain, strings sweep without smothering, and the rhythm section tiptoes to keep the floor shiny. Russell Tompkins Jr. floats at the center, crystalline and patient. Vowels lifting on the ends of lines and landing like a promise you mean to keep. Tom Bell's arrangement makes room for sighs, then underlines the feeling with gentle brass. Listen for the tiny slide into the chorus. A breath that sounds like the door opening to a slow dance. A top 10 hit on both R&B and pop. It became a ceremony favorite and a North Star for 70s romantic soul, the kind that would influence crooners for years. From Philly's glow, we cut back to the neighborhood, where harmony groups carry street corner gravity and regional pride. Number 6, Just As Long As You Need Me, The Independents, 1971. Organ low, guitar clean, and drums holding a respectful distance so the voices can set the weather. Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey frame a melody that feels like a handshake you don't want to end. The harmony writing tips its hat to doo-wop while pulling in the smoother lines of contemporary soul, Chicago style. Listen for the blend on the word long, a held note that shows how patience sings. It wasn't a crossover storm, but it became a regional fixture and later a quiet prize for Northern soul collectors. A reminder that the map of great records is bigger than any chart. We step from local devotion to an orchestral monologue that turns longing into a short film. Number 5, Have You Seen Her? Chai Lights, 1971. A spoken introduction sets the street scene. Then the strings arrive like a camera dolly, moving slow and deliberate. Eugene Records production gives gospel-rooted harmonies a theater to stand in, and the rhythm section lets the heart set the tempo. The narrative unfolds like a memory you keep returning to because it won't sit still. Listen for the hush before the title line, just enough emptiness to make the question land. It topped the R&B chart and reached number 3 on the pop chart, proof that vulnerability and orchestration can travel side by side. Decades later, it would be revived again, the story still fitting new voices. From this lush lament, we pivot to a grin with a raised eyebrow. female voices, sharper edges, and a playful threat.
Only she can set me free. Have you seen her?
You're in the groove. If this era sings to you, subscribe so you don't miss the next soul chapter.
Have you seen her?
Number 4, Stick Up, Honeycomb, 1971. Drums punch in tight, bass syncopates with a little shoulder in it, and the horns stab like flashing lights on a busy avenue. Honeycomb flips romance into a mock hold-up, hands up, tell the truth, with Edna Wright leading the negotiation. The group harmonies hit as one, then step back to let the rhythm breathe. Listen for the horn reply after "Stick Up," a quick wink that sells the bit. Produced by Holland Dozier Holland in their post-Motown stride, it carried Detroit Polish with a funkier undercurrent and hit the R&B top 5, proof the group wasn't only want ads. It's playful, tough, and catchy as a slogan.
Hey, that was absolutely fabulous. I know who you are. You're Edna Wright, right?
From a street-smart shuffle, we slide into a question that asks the whole country to listen up.
What news, Shelley? Edna.
Number 3, What's Going On? Marvin Gaye, 1971. Congas whisper like a crowd gathering. Saxophone warms the doorway, and layered vocals fold over each other like thoughts that won't stop.
So you can see what's going on.
Marvin Gaye turns a scene Ronaldo Benson witnessed into a plea that moves like a river. Calm surface, strong pull underneath. The arrangement is lush but never crowded. Strings lift the questions. The groove gives them spine. Listen for the way the second verse floats back in on a cloud of harmony, as if the song can't help returning to the point. Released after resistance inside the building, it became number 1 R&B and number 2 pop, and later stood among Rolling Stone's greatest.
I wanna know.
More than a single, it's a compass.
You see, war's not the
From conscience, we step into caution. A story sung like a soft conversation that turns into a warning. Number 2, Thin Line Between Love and Hate, The Persuaders, 1971.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Organ steady like church.
Knock on the door. A voice sweet and low say,
Drums slow as a heartbeat.
"No, let me. Never once did she say wait."
And a bass line pacing the room before each chorus like a patient shadow. The lead tells it straight, conversational and close, while falsetto harmonies lift the moral into the rafters. The song's seed was a real dispute overheard by producer Richard Poindexter.
Woman in the world could be the meanest woman in the world.
The raw edges sanded just enough to sing. Listen for the hush right before "It's a Thin Line."
I didn't think a woman would do something like this to me.
A half second that feels like the moment you realize the room has changed.
Don't think you can keep treating me.
It was a number 1 R&B hit and a blueprint for the quiet storm intimacy that would arrive mid-decade. From here, the last step is simple and devastating. Minimal parts, maximum ache, and a man who was still punching a clock when the world started singing his name.
Holding something inside that'll really, really hurt you one day.
Number 1. Ain't No Sunshine, Bill Withers, 1971.
Ain't no sunshine when
Guitar dry as a wooden chair, strings barely above a whisper, a rhythm section that nods and stays out of the way.
ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Bill Withers sings like someone who has done a full day's work and still has the strength to tell the truth. The famous run of I Know wasn't on the page, 26 in a row, improvised in the room, turning repetition into revelation. Listen for the last two, I Knows tightening before the line returns.
Anytime she goes,
A small change that feels like resolve.
she's gone. She's always gone too long.
A factory worker when it started climbing, he won the Grammy for Best R&B Song and traded a time clock for a catalog. The lesson it left behind is simple. Soul can be grand, but it can also be a chair, a voice, and a silence that says more than 100 horns.